we are here in the second test of a Nishchay 2024 test series. In the first test, we have seen the ancient and medieval history, and now in the today's test, we are going to see the modern India, 80 questions. So I hope you will enjoy this journey. It's an enlightening experience. So let's go for first question now. Consider the following statements and then correct has been asked. So Indian National Congress passed the historic Purna Swaraj resolution at a Lahore session. So you've been doing 1929 at Lahore. The historic Purna Swaraj resolution was passed by the Congress. A public declaration was made on 26 January 1930, a day which Congress party urged the Indians to celebrate as an Independence Day. So interestingly, before the independence, it's on 26 January 1950 was celebrated as an Independence Day. Finally, British gave us the independence on 15th August, and then we are celebrating on that day the independence. So it's correct. 1907, say Arvind, the editor of the newspaper Bande Mataram. Arvind is famous for Bande Mataram. Even the Madam Kama in the Paris issued a similar name newspaper Bande Mataram. Began writing, the new generation of a nationalist will not accept anything less than a Purna Swaraj, full independence. So Purna Swaraj idea emerged very early, and not on the Congress dais, but separately. Arvind talked about it. Later, first time in the Congress session, Hasrat Mohani in 1921, Ahmedabad uttered the idea of full independence, and finally it took a time. That is 1929 Lahore session, Congress took up the resolution. So all of them are correct. Let's go to the next question. Which of the following is not included in the Jinnah's 14 points? So full religious liberty should be guaranteed to all the communities. So very interestingly, we see other points. So the generous point has been there. Everyone will give a full. Finally, in Pakistan, this is not true. It is declared as a theocratic country, as Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and full religious liberty is not been offered to the other religions. Indeed, Pakistan has become very famous for the blasphemy laws now. 1/3 representative shall be given to the Muslims in both central and provincial cabinets. So that is correct. That was a demand, and it is one of the core demand the Muslim League has. In the central legislature, Muslim representation shall not be less than 1/3. Another one, again 1/3 in central legislature. So provinces as well as the center, 1/3, 1/3. Full protection of the culture and religious interests of the Muslims. So that was not separately required after so many different concessions been demanded. What separate things are required? But it's some other points of the league. Even they are worth noting. Federal constitution with residual power with the provinces. So Federation India established later, but now residual power lies with the center because this is the demands of Jinnah. That residual power lies with the states because he knew center is dominated by Hindus. So in his own states, which are Muslim majority, his power should dominate. Provincial autonomy has been divided again for same reason. You can understand his reasons. No constitutional amendment without the agreement of the states. So very interestingly, until the states agree, no constitutional amendment. Today we have three type of things, or the simple majority, special majority, and then special majority plus half of the states. So we did take the consent of states, but in some matters, and that to half of the states. Here, his condition on the one of the 14-point program is that no amendment should be done without the consent of the states. All legislatures and elected bodies, adequate Muslim representation should be there. So even local bodies demanded the representation. Also, adequate Muslim representation should be there in services and self-governing bodies. Services also, whether it's a military services or the civil services. He wanted a Muslim representation to be guaranteed. Ultimately, as in after independence, no reservation was extended on the religious basis. That's a very interesting turn of things. Separate electorate is one of the core demand. Interestingly, same Jinnah was once upon a time against the separate electorates. Of course, he used to get elected in the central legislature and state legislature on the separate electorate only, that's a different case. But theoretically, he was against it. But later, he turned his sides and started demanding separate electorates. No bill to be passed if opposed by 3/4 of the minority. So this is very similar to what is done in Lucknow Pact. If the 3/4 of the minority oppose some bill, it should not be passed. Any organization any reorganization of territories not to affect the Muslim majority in Bengal, Punjab and North-East frontier province. So very tricky idea that no reorganization of the state should happen which will affect the Muslim minority. Actually, Muslim majority. Muslims are majority, but then Hindus are also substantial in these provinces. Or in other words, we can read between the lines that Jinnah wanted a full Punjab and he wanted a full Bengal. That was his main demand into it. And so to turn the Hindus into minority, Sikhs into minority in return, that is the logic maybe had. The next is that from the Bombay Presidency, Sindh should be separated. So that has been done ultimately in 1935 Act. Why? Because then otherwise Sindh may become part of a Bombay Presidency and part of India. So he wanted to turn the Sindh as a basis of Pakistan. The first province that should join the Pakistan should be Sindh. And that is he promised and he done that. He Sindh declared as a motherland. He is himself born in the Karachi. Actually, he was not a Sindhi person, but he was a Gujarati person, Kathiawadi Gujarati. But then Gujarat already produced one father of the nation. One way he has changed his motherland. And Sindh he emphasized much in these times. Constitutional reforms in North-East frontier province and Balochistan were also demanded, so that ultimately they may join the Pakistan. And then full religious freedom for all communities that we discussed. Protection of religion, cultural, educational, linguistic rights of a minority Muslims. So they should be their rights. So full, not only cultural and religious, but also the educational and linguistic rights. So these are all such things were there. So we can see that as early as this 14-point program that was around 1928, the Jinnah is ready with the full program for separation, partition, and he was systematically going towards it. That will be understood. Let's go to the next one. Consider the following statement regarding first roundtable conference. So as you know, the first roundtable conference was officially inaugurated by King George V on November 12, 1930. So first happened in 1920, second happened in 1931, third happened in 1932. All the three held in the headquarters of the empire, and that is in London. All the three were presided by the British Prime Minister, then Ramsay MacDonald, to give it up importance. This was the first conference arranged between the British and the Indians as equals. That is very much a correct statement. So both 1 and 2 are correct statements about roundtable conference. Which of the following statement is incorrect? Now this time it's not correct but incorrect. About the Gandhi-Arvind Pact that was signed in 1932, 5th March 1932, New Delhi. So immediate release of all the political prisoners not convicted of violence. So this was a demand of Gandhi. Of course, those who had done a violence, for example, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev, their release is not exactly there in the pact. But at least those who are not involved in the violence should be released. Or those whose the penalties are been put but not been collected yet should not be demanded back. Those who are resigned from the government jobs in the movement, they should not be tortured or punished for that act. It is said. Some other things are withdrawal of emergency ordinances. Many emergency ordinances were passed in between, so they should be withdrawn. Return of all the land not yet sold to third parties. So even that has been Gandhi continued the civil disobedience movement, so not continued, suspended, and agreed to participate in the second roundtable conference. So indeed that was one of the main idea behind it. So some more points we can see into it. That is those people who make the salt on their own and consume it, not for sale, they should not be taxed. So salt tax is not exactly cancelled fully, but at least those people who produce the salt and consume should not be taxed. That has been agreed. Political prisoners should be released as far as possible. It is also demanded that property should be released. The Congress offices should be released. Such demands are also there. Gandhi also made a demand that police atrocities should be thoroughly investigated and police should be punished for it. But then Arvind said that no such atrocities happen. And Gandhi insisted did happen. Arvind said that if Congress has a conclusive proofs, we will inquire. Now, how can the Congress give the proofs and that to conclusive? And so in short, nothing is done about inquiring about the police atrocities on the people in this period. So D is answer. Let's go next one. So communal award. So after the second roundtable conference, immediately before not waiting even for third roundtable conference, which is planned, British come out with the idea called as a communal award, which extended the idea of a separate electorates to some more groups, especially depressed classes, as was demanded in the second roundtable conference by Dr. Ambedkar. So only Muslims, Sikhs, Anglo-Indians, and depressed classes will get separate electorates. So not true. Many more groups are given. For example, Muslims are there, Europeans are also there, Indian Christians are separately there. Sikhs are there, Anglo-Indians are there, depressed classes for 20 years is also there. Even Marathas was given reservation in this period. So not only these four, but many more. So this is not true. In the provincial legislature, the seats were to be distributed on the communal basis. So again, true, there are also communal basis. The existing seats of the provincial legislature were to be doubled. Correct. They are going to be doubled. So relatively progressive element of increasing the number of members is the legislature, giving more representative. Muslims, if minority, will be granted weightage in each province. It has been declared. So another communal award it is. So communalization of the politics, that was the aim. Interesting one reference that 3% seats are reserved for women except Northwest Frontier province. So the women's reservation bill recently passed, was in news very much. But at that time only 3% reservation was introduced for the women, and that is one of the progressive element that has been introduced. Now we have passed 1/3, but that time 3%, except Northwest Frontier province, but there it is not been introduced. Even the depressed classes were given minority status in the Colonel Award. Depressed classes will be given a double voting right. That is, they can vote in the separate electorate also, and they can vote in the general electorate also. Allocation of seats for the laborers, landlords, traders, and industrialists is another interesting feature. So different groups in the society were important for the British, like labor, landlords, traders, and industrialists were also given seats. Today we don't have directly such seats, but indirectly in Rajya Sabha they can come if they are being nominated by the various parties. And for Bombay, 7 seats were reserved for the Marathas. In the Bombay Legislative Assembly, 7 seats were reserved for the Marathas that time. The Maratha reservation has again come in the question, and the issue is as old as a communal award that we can see here. And this is the way only 2 statements are true. First is wrong. B is answer. Consider the following statement regarding the famous social reformer of India, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. He showed that there was no prohibition on widows remarrying the entire body of a Smriti literature. Smriti literature do not ban the widow remarriage. He wrote a famous book called Vidva Vivaha, in which he proved that in the ancient period, Vidva Vivaha was very much present. Alongside the campaign for widow remarriage, he campaigned against polygamy. So polygamy is common, especially in Bengal that time, having the multiple wives. It's called as the Kulin Vivaha Paddhat. So he opposed the polygamy in the society. To support of women's education, he organized the fund called as the Nari Shiksha Bhandar. So that has been true. He has organized the fund for the Nari Shiksha Bhandar. He also 17 years worked among the Santhal tribes and tried to spread the education among them. He also ran the Shom Prakash newspaper to publish his ideas. And though he not formed an institution, neither joined any, he was one of the prominent social reformers that India had. Here all the above are correct. See. Consider the following statement in reference to the Brahmo Samaj and the Sadharan Brahmo Samaj. So, long-term agenda for Brahmo Samaj was to purify the Hinduism and preach monotheism. Correct. Brahmo Samaj preached the monotheism, Ekeshwarvad, and then purify the Hinduism also. The Sadharan Brahmo Samaj advocated that no scripture or man is infallible. So, very interestingly, Sadharan Brahmo Samaj is separated from the Bharatiya Brahmo Samaj, also called the Nutum Brahmo Samaj. When the KC Sen married his minor daughter to the elderly person, pompous ceremony and give the heavy dowry. So as a protest, they separated, and therefore they specifically claim that we are Sadharan. KC Sen is all Sadharan. Like, they talk big ideas and then talk directly with God and do such interesting things like marriage of a minor daughter. So Sadharan Brahmo Samaj has said a new thing, which earlier KC Sen used to emphasize. KC used to emphasize that no book in the world is written by any God, all of them were written by the man. So no scripture is infallible. Now they say not only scripture but no man is infallible. Very interesting taunt it is to the KC Sen that we can see. So both are true. 1 and 2. C. Consider the following statement. Arrange the above statements in the chronological order and select the correct option. So British Indian Association of Kolkata, one of the early one, 1851. As the name suggests, Indians and British came together to form it. Then next year only came the Madras Navy Association. Same case that year come the Bombay Presidency Association or Bombay Association. East India Association was formed in London 1866 by Dadabhai Nauroji. Pune Sabha came in the 1870 and India League came in the 1875. Shri Kumar Ghosh was added. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight sequence is in there. Consider the following statements. So which is the incorrect, not correct, that has been asked. So 1850, a small group of educated Parsis formed the Rehnumai Mazdain Sabha. So the Parsis are the first community in India which reformed itself fully, and one of the early organizations come up in Indian reforms is the Rehnumai Mazdain Sabha, or in short, Parsi Reform Association. Bengali, when Bengali was the main activist, published a monthly journal Jagat Mitra and also Jagat Premi. So that is one of the important development. And Sabha journalist, there is one journal called Rashtra Guftar in Gujarati, was the main voice of the movement. Even Dadabhai Nauroji associated with it. And this is the SS Kama, Bengali, Dadabhai Nauroji, Nauroji Fardonji. These are the main young people that time who has advocated the reforms in the Parsi community successfully. So none of them is incorrect, all of them are correct. These answers. What were the common features of 19th century social reform movement in India? So 19th century is the century of reforms in India. So let's see the factors. So they had a very wide social base. So is it correct or not? So it is not correct. They had tried hard, but there is no very wide social base. At that time, social base was still narrow. They were mainly confined to the rural areas, not true opposite. Most of these reformers like Brahmo Samaj or the Prarthana Samaj, they are actually confined to the urban areas and not rural. The reforms rejected scriptural knowledge and linked to the prevailing social evils. So not true. Indeed, most of them were following the scriptures. Even Ram Mohan Roy said that Vedas are infallible. Even same is believed by the Devendranath Tagore. So even that is not true. Universal theism was the common theme linking this movement. So that has been true. There are theists in India, most of them, and believed in the universal theism. All gods are same, and the Tattva is same. Tattvamasi. So that is correct. So fourth statement only is correct. A. Consider the following statement regarding Warren Hastings. So during his term, the Second Anglo-Maratha War and the First Anglo-Mysore War was fought. So Warren Hastings came in the 1874 and ruled up to the 1774 and 1785. So before he came, the First Anglo-Maratha War was over. And second happened very later, 1802 to 1804. So this statement can't be correct. Second Anglo-Maratha War. So then the Regulating Act of 1773 was passed in his term. So yes, he is the one who came and it is passed, and then he implemented it. Asking about the dual system which has been established by Robert Clive, that is also correct. Robert Clive had dual system in which Nawab and the British coexisted. And then authorities with the British and responsibility was with the Nawab and his officers. Very problematic system it was. People suffered like anything. So finally, Warren Hastings got rid of it. So 2 and 3 are correct. D. With reference to the history of the 18th century India, consider the following statements. So which of them are correct? It has been asked. So the East India Company was never allowed to trade freely in the Bengal. So indeed, the charter of a free trade was offered to them by Farooq Siyar, the Mughal king, and that became the basis of a British dominance in the Bengal. So it's not true. One of the main reason for Bengal's prosperity was that it escaped from Afghani invasion. So that is correct. the Nadir Shah force attacked, and then 8 times Ahmad Shah Abdali attacked the North India, but Bengal somehow got saved, though there is a rumor that Abdali want to attack on Bengal. The special privileges enjoyed by the native traders in Bengal were the main reason for conflict between the Bengal rulers and the East India Company. Exactly opposite was the truth. Very interestingly, special privileges were held by the East India Company. Their document called Dastak, after showing it, they used to get a duty-free trade rights in Bengal. They don't have to pay the custom duty, which is normally around 40%. So exactly opposite is the reality here. So 2 only is the correct statement, B. So wars and the reasons. So we correctly matched. So first Anglo-Burmese war, capturing Assam and Manipur by the Burmese military. Second Anglo-Burmese war, imperialist policy of Lord Dalhousie. So British wanted to take the Burma, which is a good source of timber, minerals, and also sea coast. It has, and then it could be a buffer zone with the other parts of East Asia to protect India. So British are actually eyeing for it as it is. It is one of the monarchical state and typical medieval and weak state it was. So in 3 steps, first, second, and third, they took over the. So 1824, they had the first Anglo-Burmese war. 1851, second Anglo-Burmese war, and 1885, finally, the third and the final Anglo-Burmese war took place. And the second imperialist policy of Lord Dalhousie became the reason. Nothing actually was the reason. He said British are getting insulting treatment in the Burma, Myanmar, and that reason he attacked and captured the southern part of Myanmar coastal region. British first focus on coastal land, then to the land. Logically, coast is their main ground. Third Anglo-Burmese war, imposition of the fine on the British timber. On British timber, it has been accused the tax has been put, and some other trades also denied rights, and that was given as excuse to final attack. And finally, in the times of Lord Ripon, the Burma was taken over. The last king, Thiba, was shifted to Ratnagiri in Maharashtra, where only he died, and his family continued Ratnagiri permanently. So Ratnagiri is a famous Thiba palace, the palace of a Burmese king even today, the Burmese style. So 1, 2, and 3 of the match. Which is the following statement regarding Rayatwari system is incorrect. So this system was introduced in northwest frontier, Agra, Central Province, Gangetic Valley, and Punjab. Is incorrect. Indian Rayatwari was famously there first in the Madras Presidency and then in the Bombay Presidency. First Madras and then Bombay. So most of the south is covered. Nearly 51% part of India, agricultural land. 15% of the agricultural land in India was covered under Rayatwari. So that way, majority land was under Rayatwari system. South India mainly. While in these provinces, there is a system called as a Mahalwari that was continued, which is a traditional system. Other things are true. The system of land revenue instituted in late 18th century by Thomas Munro, Governor of Madras, correct. The taxes were directly collected by government from the peasants. So like Bengal, there is no middleman called landlords. The rates were high, and unlike the permanent settlement, they were open to be increased. So at least in permanent settlement, they are permanent, but here they are open to increase. And so relative, then they are being increased regularly, and that becomes more problematic for the farmers than even the permanent settlement. These answer. So the following crops were introduced by the Portuguese in India. So as you know, tobacco famously was bought from Brazil and introduced by the Portuguese. Dates were already there. So not so dates, khajur, they have come from the Arabs to the India, and in the towards the end of ancient only it has been available. So famously the khajuraho is there, khazur. A lot of khazur trees or dates are been there. So it has already been there in the country. Chili was famously bought, and that made the sour taste possible for poor. Groundnut is also been introduced, and even papaya and cashew nut and Alfonso is been introduced, and potato is been also introduced. Tomato has been introduced. So many interesting things were introduced by the Portuguese. Even the binocular, the watch is been also introduced by them. Opium has come from the Arabs again around 8th century. Afusan, that was like Arab name, from which Afu, the opium it has been called. So it's already there. It's not that these people bought it. And this is the way First 3 and 4 is been true. Consider the following statement regarding goods dispatch, 1854. Famously called as the magma carta of English education in India. Because earlier, the Lord of Macaulay thought about percolation theory. Will teach only the elite people in the society, and they will percolate education downward, normal filtration, which never happened. But finally, Woods agreed that we will go for a mass education, and thus it is called as a magma carta of English education in India. Education of women should be emphasized by their character, and every district should have at least one government school. So that's the mass education they tried for. So which of them is incorrect? So none of them is incorrect. All of them, the statements are correct. Consider the following statement regarding doctrine of lapse. So which of them is incorrect? It has been asked. Many Indian states lost their sovereignty and become the British territories. So that has been correct. Doctrine of lapse was introduced and pushed. So famously, 1848, first year only Dalhousie annexed the Satara state. Then there is the Sambalpur, then Baghet, then Jhansi, then Nagpur. One by one, the states are being taken over by the Dalhousie. Interestingly, the doctrine of lapse was earlier also there, but Dalhousie pushed for it. Annexation was done with the help of it. That if the king dies without a legal heir, the state will be annexed. That is the crux of the policy. A lot of people were unhappy with the illegal nature of this doctrine, and this was one of the causes of the Indian revolt. They were unhappy, of course, states. There is unrest among them, but it doesn't become the major cause of a revolt as such. That was not exactly the major cause as such. So only 4 statement is correct. One only. A. Kuka movement, Punjab. So see the statement which is incorrect. It was a religious purification campaign against the Sikhs among the Sikhs in Punjab. So it's correct. Punjab, the famous movement happened. It is basically about a religious purification, which finally turned into political one soon. They were forced to propagate the concept of a Swadeshi and non-cooperation. Yes, in the sense that they used to wear only hand-woven clothes. And in that case, they are the one who thought of Swadeshi and also boycott of foreign goods. Darya Singh was a prominent leader of this movement, so not true. There are Jawaharmal, Bhagat Jawaharmal was a leader. Then the most famous is Namdhari. Namdhari Singh was also the famous leader of this movement. Darya Singh was one of the revoltee from Bundelkhand in 1806. He revolted from Bundelkhand, so he is not belong to the Punjab. So the 3 is incorrect. Other 2 statements are correct. D. Which of the following was a tribal movement in Northeast during the Indian freedom struggle? Now this all Janajati, Bhav, the tribal revolts, they are the popular now to ask, and they are being like commemorated now in India a lot. So questions are expected, and therefore we have kept in the test series these questions. So Singpo rebellion, Koya revolt, Fulguri peasants rebellion, and a Tamar revolt. So a bit interesting detailing is been there about it. Singpo rebellion happened in Assam in the early 1930. Koya in the East Godavari, Andhra. Fulguri again Assam. And Tamar revolt in the Chota Nagpur plateau. Today Jharkhand, these are the tribal revolts that happen. So northeast, so Tamar is in Chota Nagpur plateau. Koya is in East Godavari. And so the Singpo and Fulguri, these are the main that happen in the northeast, that is Assam. So C is the correct answer. So relatively simple question, but one has to know which area what happened. Like with reference to the Mysore kingdom in 19th century, which of the following statement is correct? Correct is been asked. After the 4th Anglo-Mysore War, the Mysore was handed over to the Vodiyas. As you know, the 1799, the 4th and the final Anglo-Mysore War took place, and that's a decimation of a famous fighter, Tipu Sultan. He died in the fighting. And so the Mysore was taken over, but then the power of Vodiyas, the earlier Hindu rulers of Mysore, who are the remnants of Vijayanagar Empire earlier, was continued in the Mysore. They are restored. Later what happened? William Bentinck took control of the Mysore on the grounds of misgovernance. Interestingly, he 1829 took over the Mysore misgovernance, but interestingly not annexed, only took over, and 50 years the Mysore was administered by the British directly. But finally, it's Lord Ripon who restored the Vodiyar dynasty on the state of Mysore, and they got it back. So Mysore was a very unique state where 50 years in between British rule, and again Vodiyar family came back. So you got a mixed of both king as well as the British rule in it. So both 1 and 2. See. With reference to the Second Anglo-Sikh War, consider the following statements. Which of the above is correct? That has been asked. So, as you know, the Anglo-Sikh Wars are two only. In a single decade, both happened, and Sikhs fought bravely, but finally lost them, and Punjab was annexed by the British. It was caused due to the humiliating provisions of the Treaty of Lahore signed after the First Anglo-Sikh War. So, second, directly because of a humiliating treatment given to the Sikhs after the First War, the Treaty of Lahore has appointed a regent over the Dalip Singh, the king of Punjab, who was a child, and also appointed advisors of British, which is actually a beginning of dominance of British over the Punjab. The Battle of Ramnagar, Chillanwala, and Gujarat were the major battles during the course of this war. So correct. The Second Anglo-Sikh War, these are the major battles, especially the Gujarat battle was the last. And very famous. Gujarat is in Pakistan. A city called Gujarat. From this city only Rishi Sunak, the today's Prime Minister of Britain, interestingly, belonged to. And then a lot of cannon fighting happened here. Six set of the best cannons in Asia in those period. The three-member board was set up to govern the Punjab after the war ended. So it is correct. So 1, 2, 3, D. Pune Savandik Sabha formed in the Pune as the name suggests. So it was founded by the Mahadev Govinda Ranade. Technically not true, largely true. It was inspired by the Govinda Ranade, but he was a government servant. So he kept in front one Joshi, Ganesh Vasudev Joshi, G.V. Joshi. But we can say largely correct. But Ranade is the main inspiration, main volunteer of a Sabha. Primary aim was to convey the interest of the landed section of the Bombay Presidency to the British government. So no, they are like educated middle class. They are not landed landlords of the earlier times. The educated people elites one, and they are been fighting for cooperation with the British people at the same time, but getting the rights for the Indians on the other hand. So they are modern people who come with the petitions and relief in taxation and other such type of ideas in those period. So one is true, second is not. A. Beginning from the earliest, there is the following European travelers, governors visited India in a chronological order. So first one is the Francisco de Almeida. The Almeida is the first Portuguese governor appointed in India. And so he comes first. First people come in the 1505. 1505 to 1510. So early he was the first Portuguese governor in India. And then if you see, then William Hawkins, who came to India in 1607, times of Jahangir, and becomes spread ultimately. Jahangir gave the title of Khan, Hawkins Khan. And then after Hawkins' successful diplomacy came the first official British ambassador to India, Sir Thomas Roe, in 1614, and he remained up to 1619 in the Mughal court. He was unsuccessful in getting some treaty from the Mughals, but he did got the place to establish the factories at Agra or Ahmedabad or Bharuch. He got a place to establish the factories. And this is the way Thomas Roe was not fully successful, but quite good work he done. Mughals used to not see the British as some equal powers. They used to see them as British as some lower type of power in front of them. That was shown by them in the paintings. And very later came the famous French Pope in India, the Joseph Francis Dupleix, who was a governor of a French at Pondicherry, and the one who fought the Carnatic battles with the British in the 18th century. So 4, then 1, then 3 and 2. And this will be his answer. Following statement is correct regarding the policy of masterly inactivity. So masterly inactivity is about Afghan people. It was understood that interfering in Afghanistan is very costly. Even Aurangzeb done that mistake and suffered a lot. That became one of the reasons of fall of Mughals. So even British suffered in the defeat in the war, and they come to know after fighting 2 wars with the Afghans and lost. It's not possible to fight with them. So master in activity, that is the remain ready but don't interfere. Remain ready but don't interfere. If the attack came from other side, then oppose. The famous battle of Seragadi, the Kesari, Akshay Kumar's film, it depicts that. So John Lawrence is the one who is behind this master in activity. It put forward the Afghanistan policy of the British. Lord Mayo abandoned the policy is not true. It was abandoned directly by Lord Curzon. Curzon is another Aurangzeb who want to interfere in people things. And so first two statements are true, 1 and 2. A. Statements regarding the non-cooperation program. So which of them are correct? It has been asked. So boycott of government affiliated schools and colleges is very much correct. That is one of the core program. Boycott on law courts is also true. Boycott could be extended to include the resignation of the government service and mass civil obedience, including the non-payment of taxes. The Gandhi's own insistence on non-payment of taxes. Even boycott on titles was one of the part of it. Boycott on judicial services is also there. Boycott on legislature, not fighting the election or voting for anybody, is also been the part. And this way, all of them are correct. C. Who was introduced the permanent settlement system to ensure predictable and steady flow of revenue and improve revenue base by encouraging landlords to improve land productivity. So famously, this permanent settlement, simple question, introduced by the Lord Cornwallis. 1790 he declared as a decennial, that is only for 10 years, but we got convinced that work will work best in the British interest. So 1793 he declared as a permanent, and 1793 to straight 1954 it was applied mainly to the Bengal, some part of Assam, and even some part of Tamil Nadu, Tanjavur. And this is the way he claimed that it will improve in land productivity and so many things. Consider the following statements. Which of the above statements regarded as the principal source for Government of India Act 1935? So from where the report has been taken? So mainly Simon Commission report submitted in 1930, which talked about giving dominant status to Indians. Then there is a Commerce effort, 1928 Nehru report under the Motilal Nehru is also been there. Then discussion of roundtable conference has also been behind it. But Jinnah's 14-point program, though one of the major consideration of this time, is not been taken as a base for this 35 Act. And it's 1, 2 and 3A. Which of the following leaders were convicted in the Meerut conspiracy case? Communists have gone through the 3 trials in a single decade of the 20s. In 21 they gone through the Peshawar trial, 24 they gone through the Kanpur trial, and 29 they gone through the Meerut trial. So in the Meerut trial, the most major trial among them, and in 29, who are there like that? So Muzaffar Ahmad, very much a famous communist leader in India. Is it a Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya? No. He is the one who is given a Bharat Ratna as soon as our Narendra Modi ji became the Prime Minister. He is actually the founder of a Hindu Mahasabha, which later turned into Bharatiya Jana Sangha, which is called as the BJP. So he is not a communist as such. So he is not. A.C. Dange, Shripad Amrut Dange, one of the most prominent communist leader in the country indeed. Philip Spratt, a British person who tried to spread the communism in India. Also Ben Bradley, another British person who spread the communism in India. G. Subramaniam Iyer is one of the moderate leader, one who is behind Congress and not communist as such. So 1, 3, 4 and 5 are the main people. Others are like Zoglekar, Shaukat Usmani, even they were involved in the Meerut trial. A. Consider the following statement regarding the Bardoli Satyagraha, one of the turning point of the Indian freedom struggle, the Bardoli in Gujarat. So, which of them is incorrect? It has been asked. So, the most pivotal movement in the Indian freedom struggle was the Bardoli Satyagraha of 1928. No doubt, it is. It's the first time the farmers' movement got a logical conclusion and won against the British rule. Before that, so many revolts happened, and farmers' movements were very common, but none of them got a full success. But under the leadership of Vallabhbhai Patel, the farmers at Bardoli got a logical conclusion and seen to it that the taxes will be cancelled, heavy taxes, and will begin the relief. So here only the Gandhi famously called Vallabhbhai as a Sardar, as local people should call him, and the epithet joined his name, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. This movement is guided by Vallabhbhai Patel and Jawaharlal Nehru, not true. Nehru was not a part of it. It's in Bardoli in Gujarat, so two only. B. Nehru was separately a part of a farmers movement under one Baba Ramchandra in the UP, which was a part of a home rule movement once, but not in Bardoli. Which of the following statement correctly described the cause of Vellore mutiny? So Vellore mutiny 1806 is called as a precursor of a revolt of 1857. What happened in Vellore? Something similar happened later in 1857. So immediate issue was forced to shave off their mustaches and beards. Also told not to have a tika, not to keep the pagdi. So such things have angered both Hindus as well as Muslims together, and that ended up into the revolt of Vellore 93. Europeans were killed. One of the interesting influence was that at Vellore fort prison, the relatives of Tipu Sultan were kept. Now, Tipu, the fiery leader of India, his relatives have been there, so obviously that used to be the inspiration about this revolt. One can say it was suppressed, of course, by the British. B. Consider the following statement regarding Morley-Minto reforms. Morley-Minto reforms of 1909, Indian Council Act. So, which of the following is incorrect? It has been asked. Number of members in the Central Executive Council was raised from 16 to 60 substantially. But factual, let's see it. Legislative Council of Bengal, Madras, Bombay, and United Province, 50 members each. Another one correct. So 60-50, you can remember the numbers. Legislative Councils of Punjab, Burma, and Assam, 30 members each. So apart from these main provinces, others 30. All are correct. So none of the above is incorrect. D. Surat split, famously, 1907. Statements are correct. So difference between the moderate and extremist become official in the Surat session of the INC in 1907. Correct. The moderates also wanted to draw the resolution on Swadeshi, boycott movement, and national education. So correct. They have become so moderate that they don't want anything of the extremist program. Actually, this was a correct national program, popular one. Still, they wanted to drop it off. That becomes the reason of clash between the extremists and the moderates at Surat. The extremists objected, the infighting happened, and finally the Congress got split at Surat. So both 1 and 2. C. Regarding the British expansionary policies in India, consider the following statement. Which of them is correct? So there is a famous ring fence policy by the British. The cost of creating a buffer zone to defend the frontiers was borne by the company. So ring fence policy is not about who is bearing the cost. It is about creating a buffer between British in Bengal, which is their main fortune, and Marathas in those times who were powerful. So basically they kept the state of Awadh in between as a buffer, so that they will not directly have a border with the Marathas, because British were that time not prepared enough to take on the Marathas. So that is a part of a ring fence policy. So one is not true about the cost. The British are not keeping the cost, Awadh is keeping the cost of their own army. Under subsidiary alliance system, the cost of maintaining within a territory of the Indian ruler was borne by the Indian ruler. So obviously, if this subsidiary alliance system directly been taken up, then it's the ruler of Indian ruler who has to pay the cost of it. So 2 only. B. Consider the following pair regarding the revolt of 1857. So major centers, common question it is, and who is the British officer who suppressed it. Most famous is the Jhansi, which was suppressed by the Euros, Lakshmibai and Euros. Is called from Britain specifically for that. And then Banaras, the colonial leader, he is the one who made the people hang on the trees, dead bodies. A very gruesome scene it was. So Delhi, Campbell was there, and Kanpur, Nicholson was there. So only 2 pairs matched here. Delhi, Nicholson, and Kanpur. Banaras Neela, 1 and 4. B. Munda rebellion. So the famous Bursa Munda, whose birthday we celebrate as Janajati Gaurav Din, the pride of tribes. Uprising is also known as Ul Gulam, the Great Revolt. That means a great commotion. The Mundas were able to get an able and charismatic leader, the Bursa Munda, who proclaimed a rebellion in 1894. Correct. That is, of course. So both are correct. Though he did not got success, he became the icon of tribal pride and revolts in India. Consider the following statements. So So which of them is the incorrect has been asked. Subhash Chandra Bose joined the Indian National Congress in 1921. Correct. He resigned from the ICS, a prestigious achievement, and then he joined the Indian National Congress in 21. Bose also started a newspaper called the Swaraj. So that's been true. His master Chittaranjan Das used to run the Forward Block newspaper, and Bose used to run the Swaraj as a newspaper. He was the president of All India Youth Congress and then the secretary of a Bengal State Congress. Correct. He's been held in these positions. And this is the way. All of them are correct and none of them is wrong. D. With reference to the Indian freedom struggle, consider the following events. The correct chronological sequence of events. So, if you see, the mutiny of Royal Indian Navy is the most famous episode before independence. Last of the episodes is the last nail on the British Empire that have started in 1946. So it is very late. Quit India movement is world famous, 1942. And second roundtable conference is in 1931. So 3, 2, 1, C. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, or famously called as Basha Khan or Bacha Khan, or Sarhad Gandhi, the frontier Gandhi, has been called as. So incorrect statement has been asked. He is also known as a nickname Frontier Gandhi. Correct. Indeed, he organized the Khudai Khidmatgar movement in 1929. That is also correct. He has a newspaper called as Pakhtoon in the Pashto language, and grand popularity he enjoyed. So none of them is incorrect. D. Bondiwashi, Battle of Bondiwashi, 1760, the final battle between the British and the French, which sealed the future of the French in India. So Bondiwashi is a place in Tamil Nadu. Dupleix played a decisive role in the Battle of Bondiwashi. So correct answer they are asking. So Dupleix has already been left the India. In the 1754, a treaty has been signed between the French and the British, according to which the Dupleix was forced to leave the India to the France permanently. So he is no more there that time. The battle left the English East India Company with no European rivals in India. Correct. It's a semi-final in for ruling India. Among the Europeans, the semi-final is won by the British, but it's simply the last major enemy, that is the French. Indian natives joined the English army and not the French. Not correct. Indians are professional armymen who used to support anyone who is paying them salary on time. So interestingly, in Bondiwashi, both sides, Indian sepoys were present. Pondicherry was given to the French. Correct. In the treaty that followed, Pondicherry and 5 other trading posts are been kept with the French, and that they held up to 1954, even after the British left. Interestingly, answer 2 and 4 is only correct. B. Consider the following information. The above paragraph best describe which of the following Portuguese governor. So he is the one who got a Vasai from the Bahadur Shah of Gujarat, which becomes stronghold of Portuguese soon. They also added Diu with themselves, Portuguese, helping to conflict with the Humayun. He tried to increase the Portuguese influence in Bengal by setting Hooghly as a headquarters for Portuguese nationals. Interestingly, Hooghly, even the British were present, and therefore later British shifted to the Kolkata to avoid the clash with the Portuguese. He shifted the headquarters of the Portuguese government from Cochin to Goa. In the Kerala, there is always a danger of a Zamborin who never succumbed to the Portuguese pressure. So they decided to shift to the most secure place, that is the Goa. And so it's a description of a Nino de Cunha, the second Portuguese governor after the Francis de Almeida. De Cunha, he done all these things. D. Congress Khilafat Swaraj Party formation as the aftermath of withdrawal of non-cooperation was established by whom of the following? So most famously 3 main people: Chittaranjan Das, Deshabandhu, Narsiya Chintamani Kelkar, N.C. Kelkar, the right hand of a Tilak, and Motilal Nehru. Ultimately of this party, Chittaranjan Das became president and Motilal Nehru became the secretary in 1923, 1st January 1923 at Gaya in Bihar. They established this party. Is the following statement is correct regarding the Alipur conspiracy? So Alipur is a suburb of Kolkata. Alipur is a name kept to the Kolkata after it was won by the Sirajuddaulah, and suburb continued by that name. So there is a code there, and therefore when the Anushalan Samiti revolutionaries were caught and tried, it becomes known as the Alipur conspiracy case. So which of the following is the correct? It has been asked. It is associated with the attempt to murder of a magistrate in the Muzaffarpur. Correct. In the Bihar Muzaffarpur, King's Ford was attacked. Ultimately got saved. It was the first use of a bomb in India. So major case in India. Sachindranath Sanyal and Raj Behari Bose were associated with it. So no, they are not associated directly with the National Samiti. They had secret societies with them. It led to the arrest of an entire Muslim group, including Arvind Ghosh. Correct. Entire Muslim group is caught at Maniktula Garden in Kolkata. They had a secret headquarters, even that is raided. Most of the names they got. And Arvind and his younger brother, the main revolutionary, Balendra Kumar Ghosh, is also been arrested in this case. So 1 and 3 is correct. C. Consider the following pairs, which are the above correct. It has been asked. So Kuka movement. So Kuka movement, we already seen. Namdhari Singh has been there, or Bhagat Jawaharlal is there. Baba Balaknath has been there. Punjab, these are all leaders. Not Haji Shariatullah. He led the Farazi movement. Wahhabi movement, Sayyid Ahmad of Barelvi. So that is correct. Barelvi, the eastern UP, becomes the famous center of a Barelvi movement. Is influenced by Wahhabi ideas. Indigo Revolt, Vishnu Charan Vishwas and Digambar Vishwas, his brother. So 1860, the first farmers' revolt in modern times is done at Bengal, Indigo Revolt. So 2 pairs are correct, second and third, not first. B is answer. From the following started a journal named as a Tehzeebul Akhlaq in the Urdu language. So it's the first thinker and reformer among the Muslims in India. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan is the one who started it. Tehzeebul Akhlaq is improving the manners and morale of Muslims in India. Consider the following statement incorrect. The first All India Peasant Organization, All India Kisan Sabha, was formed in 1936. So correct. Swami Sahajananda Saraswati, who was the president of it, founder and president, and thus began the major movement among the farmers in India, organized movement. The peasants also began to take more active part in national movement hereafter. Correct. Peasants become active hereafter in the national movement. So none of them is incorrect. D. A National Council of Education was set up in 1906 as a part of Swadeshi movement, national education, 4-point program. Consider the following statement of the council, which of them are correct. So the council was established as a part of a Swadeshi and boycott movement. So very much correct. It's part of that. One of the reasons behind it is the emergence of a passage of an Indian Universities Act. So Lord Curzon, 1904, passed one Indian Universities Act and tried to governmentalize the education. Earlier, a lot of private colleges spurred up, and they are the main centers of nationalism, the Curzon thought. So control them or stop them. So it was thought that the British had tried to dominate the education, which is supposed to be free. And that is one of the reasons why these all steps have been taken of national education. It was criticized for focusing only on literacy education and completely ignoring the technical education. So not at all correct. They have focused on literary education, even technical education, and they said that all-round education system shall be prevailed. Indeed, according to their ideas, a technical education council has been created in the India, under which the Bengal Technical Institute built up. And Bengal Technical Institute created a lot of good ideas in technology and companies as a part of a Swadeshi movement. And it shows that third statement is not correct. So 1 and 2 only is correct. A. Any present home rule movement was different from the Tilak's League. So correct has been asked. So Tilak's League was confined to Maharashtra and Karnataka only, while peasants movement covered the rest of India. Actually, this is the idea of the peasant. But they not fought the movement jointly, but they fought separately. So they divided the India, and Western India, Babu presidency, including Karnataka, that is, and Central India, Central Province and Berar, was with the Tilak. And rest of the India, including Bombay city, was with the any peasant. So 2 areas separately. But in this statement, only Maharashtra and Karnataka is said. But no, he has Maharashtra, Karnataka plus Central Province, that is Madhya Pradesh, and the Vidarbha region of Maharashtra is also under the Tilak. So first statement is not correct. Besant's league was loosely organized as compared to Tilak's league. So largely correct, but Tilak has well organized the league. He has a 6 main centers of a league, while Besant's home rule league has nearly 100 branches. So difficult to manage. So that shows the difference between like Tilak as like a main political leader and Besant is more like a social reformer and a thinker. So second is correct. Tilak League relied more on the support from moderate leaders, while the Peasants League rejected the support of moderates. So none of them is correct. Indeed, both of them understood that moderates are not going to cooperate. Indeed, the idea was first put in Congress, but refused to take it over. And therefore, this Home Rule movement is not fought from the dais of a Congress. It has been fought outside it by both. So both haven't taken the help of moderates. So this is also not correct. So 2 only C. Education institution and a founder, which of the following is correct has been said. So Atmiya Sabha, most famously founded at Kolkata by the Ram Mohan Roy, which later turned into Brahma Sabha. It's India's first social reform organization, Atmiya Sabha. So not true. Devendranath Tagore has a Tattvabodhini Sabha. Theosophical Society, though Alcott is associated, it was actually formed in 1875 in New York by Madame Blavatsky, the Russian lady, and its American person Alcott joined it later. This is not true. Izhava movement, P. Tyagaraja Chetty. So Tyagaraja Chetty is the founder of Justice Party in the Madras in 1919. And these Izhavas are the famous farming community in the Kerala. This Izhava movement is led by the well-known Narayan Guru, the main reformer in Kerala. Sakhis Mumti, Pandita Ramabai. So Pandita Ramabai is famous for Sharda Sadan, Mukti Sadan. This Sakhi Samiti is formed by the sister of Rabindranath Tagore, that is Swarna Devi. Swarna Devi is the one who, and she worked among the women and the widows to improve them. And this way, none of them is correct as such. Decadence of a Swadeshi movement. Swadeshi movement is a 1905 movement that began with great enthusiasm but not able to continue. Which of them was correct? So the internal scabbles, especially the split of 1907, is a major reason why the movement came into trouble. So it weakened the movement. The movement failed to create an effective organization or a party structure. Also correct. It was not that well organized. The movement largely remained confined to the upper and middle classes and zamindars and failed to reach masses, especially the peasantry. So that remained a weakness. Rabindranath Tagore said that a vast sea has been there between the educated people in the country and the poor masses. And who will gulf that particular breach? He said. So that is correct about it. Most of the important leaders of the movement were either imprisoned after Surat split or like thrown out of the country in exile. And so obviously that weakened the movement soon. So all of them are the correct analysis. B. Which of the following events where the M. Veera Aghavacharya, Subramaniam Iyer and Anand Charlu were associated? So they are the one who famously founded the Madras Mahajan Sabha 1884 at Madras. They are the one who are running the main newspaper of their own, The Hindu, which is called itself as the only national newspaper of India. Indeed, this P. Anand Charlu later become the first Hindu president of a Congress. A. Consider the following statement regarding Ilbert Bill. So, Ilbert Bill controversy, Lord Ripon, famously. So, which of the following is correct? It has been asked. So, the bill seek to exempt the British subject from the trial by the Indian magistrates. That's not true. The trial was allowed. But if the British person, who is the accusee, demand juries, then they shall be allowed, it's said. And so 15 juries will sit and they will decide by majority whether he is guilty or non guilty. But one of the sub-clause said that out of 15, 8 juries will be white. Now 8 to the 16, so that means juries who are white will decide, which is everybody knows what will happen. So whether the white magistrate giving the judgment or 8 white juries giving the judgment, there is no big difference, and that was the main failure of this particular idea. The Europeans organized a defense association to propagate their views against the Ilbert Bill. So that is correct. They formed a defense association, collected money, and fought for the rights. B, 2 only. Newspapers and author correctly matched. Card was a well-known newspaper by Shivram Pant Paranspe. He was arrested and put in the prison for it. Padki was a revolutionary and not a newspaper. Yugantar by Arvind Ghosh. So Yugantar is been run by his younger brother Barendra Kumar Ghosh, famously. Sandhya Brahma Bandhav Upadhyay, correct, is been correctly matched. Gadar, most famously Malala Hardayal in the US. So 3 and 4 are correct. 1 and 2 is wrong. C. Which is the following statement is correct about Swadesha Sevak home? So before the in US the famous Gadar movement erupted, there is one Swadesha Sevak home already come up. Tarkanath Das especially was behind it, and many other people are associated. Even the Sohan Singh Bakhna, who's later connected with the Gadar, is associated with it. So what did it? It was a revolutionary organization in the Vancouver to promote, Vancouver is in Canada, to Indian troops to revolt against the British. They built troops also secretly to revolt. Later all these people shifted to the US, and at San Francisco they formed the Hindu Association in 1913, and then they run a fortnightly called as the Gadar, and they become famous as the Gadarites. So Gadarite has this background of a Swadesha Sevak home. Achievements of a early national movement. So which of them is correct? So establish the political truth that India must be ruled in the interest of the Indians. Correct. Moderates. It made the issue of nationalism a dominant one in the Indian life. Very much correct. They spread nationalism in India. Most of all the early nationalists did pioneering work in the mercilessly exposing the true character of British imperialism in India. So that is the biggest achievement. That British are here for our exploitation and not for any divine goal of civilizing the India. The early national movement evolved a common political and economic program around which the Indian people could gather and wage a political struggle later on. One of the great achievement of these people. A common program they build up for fighting. And so this is all of the above correct. D. With reference to the Montague statement of August 1917, consider the following statements. It called for the gradual setting up of responsible government. So it has been correct. Step by step, the responsible government will be given to the Indians, he said. So India supported the First World War, and so they had to give some reforms. But then Indian leaders objected that Montague statement for having no specific time frame kept for it. So both 1 and 2 are correct. Muslim League, incorrect statement has been asked. The first session of the party was held in Karachi in 1907. Not true. It's not Karachi, it's in Dhaka. The Nawab of Dhaka, Nawab Salimullah, has called for the first session of League. The first president was Wakarul Mulk, a scholar. So first is not true. The Muhammad Ali Jinnah appointed the first honorary president of a Muslim League. Jinnah was invited to participate in Muslim League, he refused. He was nationalist. He did not join that time. He was a member of a Congress that time. So when Aga Khan III, Prince Aga Khan III, he later became the president of it. And the first was Wakarul Mulk. The second was not correct. The headquarters was in Lucknow is correct. Well, Congress do not have headquarters, League had headquarters Lucknow. So it was dissolved in 1947. Very interestingly, they dissolved technically the League in 47. Technically, but not truly. So it's also not correct. Meantime, Gandhi also wished that Congress should be dissolved. That not happened, but so only 2 statements are correct. Here what happened? This is a bit wrong. 1 statement only is correct. 3. It's not true that first session held in Karachi. Why is the Nagpur session memorable in the history of the Indian National Congress? So Nagpur 920 was a historic session. It's heralding the Gandhi age in the Indian politics. INC adopted a non-cooperation movement. The most famous movement of Gandhi has begun. Mass movements, age of mass movements. Therefore, recently Indian National Congress today has held a session in Nagpur again. The earliest emphasis on the use of constitutional means was supported by the all peaceful and legitimate methods. So instead of constitutional means, all peaceful and legitimate methods was discussed by them on. So moderates used to emphasize on constitutional means. Constitution is not there in India. So what is the having constitutional like so peaceful and legitimate and not again legal. Because again, how can be illegal? British are writing the laws and they may write anything. Congress is illegal, and therefore peaceful and legitimate. The Congress aim of Swaraj means self-government with an empire if possible. A very interesting body, and outside if necessary. So we may not remain under your clutches permanently, and one day we may think of going off. Purna Swaraj will be demanded. Many other things are done. The work in Britain was stopped, and Gandhi decided to focus only on India. Hereafter, in Nagpur session, it decided to spread the Congress among the masses. Anybody who pay the 1 anna as a membership fee will be made a member of a Congress, and each one will have a one vote. So Congress is turned democratic, which was earlier like a private club, a group of elites. So a lot of changes happened in the Nagpur session of a Congress, a turning point indeed. The following statement is incorrect regarding the contribution of early moderates to the Indian freedom struggle. So they expose the defects of bureaucracy through legislative councils. Correct. They are the one who work in councils and wanted expansion of councils and increasing number of Indian members into it. They undermine the political moral influence of British rule. Correct. They show how there's a fallacy to think that British are the greatest saviors of India. They oppose the Factory Act of 1881 and 1891. Correct. Because it is basically not giving the equal rights to the Indian labor as British labor. It successfully forced the British Indian government to reduce its military expenditure, though that was a demand that never happened. Congress was saying that at least share the military expenditure 50-50. Because the Indian interest has served the military that time, even the British imperial interest has served, but even that not happen in this period. So D. In reference to the major changes in administrative structure after 1857, consider the following statements. So correct. Indian Council of 1861 added jurists to be the members of the Viceroy Executive Council. So correct. It was thought that we should like have some rule of law and not mismanagement as that resulted in the revolt of 57. So jurists will be appointed in the Viceroy Executive Council. The Act of Betterment of India 1858 returned the legislative powers to the provinces of Madras and Bombay. It was withdrawn in 1833 and restored in the 1861 Act and not in the 1858. So only one is correct. A. Reference to the role of Cornwallis in the civil service of India. Cornwallis, the father of Indian civil services, has been called first to organize. Correct. Father indeed. He imposed certain restrictions on civil servants but increased the salaries. Yes, he should think that giving higher salaries will reduce the corruption in the system. Now, whether it's a correct or not is a different issue. But then he increased the salary, and then Indian bureaucracy became the most paid bureaucracy in the world. So poor country was financing such a costly people for years. So both 1 and 2. C. With reference to reaction of the formation of Congress, consider the following statements. So Lord Curzon used to call the Congress as a factory of a sedition. So this was a claim made by the one who initially supported the formation of Congress and then opposed. That is the first person when Congress was formed. His name was Lord Dufferin. Initially welcomed the Congress as a safety wall, but later he called it a factory of a sedition. He also called it a microscopic minority. He called it a microscopic minority. So first is not true. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad founded the United Indian Patriotic Association to counter the Congress propaganda. So this has been come up in the 1888, and it's Sir Syed Ahmad Khan and King of Banaras, Ramashankar Prasad. They are the one who formed this patriotic association, but never got success as such. So another one, another two. D. Give the correct chronological order of the following events. So if you see, the oldest one is the Simon Commission. 1930 it gave the report. The first roundtable conference happened next year only. Same year, but Simon Commission come early. Cabinet Vision Plan came in the end. That is the 1947, and Gandhi are in fact 1932. So 3142A. Consider the following statement with reference to the partition of Bengal that was done in 1905. Correct statements been asked. So Swadeshi and the boycott movement was launched to oppose the partition of Bengal. So very much correct. It is. It's a Surendranath Banerjee who led an anti-partition campaign in the Bengal. Correct. He's the head of Surendranath Banerjee. His name was S.N. Banerjee. So people called it a surrender not Banerjee. Best of his time, sir. The Indian National Congress organized the Indigenous Satyagraha. The Indigenous Satyagraha very famous, 1940. It's a Gandhi who called for it. It's a Vinoba Bhave who was the first Indigenous Satyagrahi. It's not true that this period this has been done. And this is the way. Only two statements are correct. First two, but is wrong. Sequence of joining the following princely states to the Union of India. A common question. So Junagadh is the first to join in the Gujarat, Kathiawad. Then come the Kashmir and Hyderabad came last because India has done a 1 year status quo treaty with the Nizam of Hyderabad, and therefore it came last in the 48, September 48, Operation Polo. So see, choose the incorrect statement. So interim government headed by Jawaharlal Nehru was sown in September 46, correct. Without league, it was initially formed in 46. Shortly afterward, league pursued to join the interim government. So later the league joined. Jira himself not came, but he pushed especially his son type person, Liaquat Ali Khan, as a finance minister. The league and the Congress members forming the government could not work as a team. They failed to work as a team, and soon the whole government come has a standstill. Muslim League participated in the Constitutional Assembly. They never came to the Constitutional Assembly. Demanded a separate Constitutional Assembly for the Pakistan. And I say first three are true, fourth is not. D is answer. Consider the following statement with reference to the British government's response to the extremists since 1907. Which of the following is correct has been asked. The British government followed a three-pronged approach of a separation, conciliation, and suppression. So systematic policy of repressing them, also conciliation of those who want to come back, and then keep suppressing them continuously. Tilak was tried for sedition for an article written in the Kesari. So he was been arrested. Later also they tried to arrest him again. Indian Press Act of 1910 was enacted to impose strict censorship on publication. Correct. 1908 also they had an act, and still they passed another one in 1910 to control the press in India. So 1, 2, 3, all the three. D. Dada Lajpat Rai, incorrect. So Arya Samaji, famously he is Arya Samaji, the close compatriot of Dayananda Saraswati, the founder. Became the famous Lion of Punjab, Punjab Kesari. He wrote the biography of Swami Dayananda. He was a prolific writer. He also famously wrote the biography of Mazzini. It was asked in the prelim earlier. He was the founder of a member of Indian National Congress. So that is not correct. He is the extremist leader and that time not involved in the politics. He joined later. Recognized fairy orator. He toured with the Gokhale to England to enlighten the British people regarding the Indian problems. He was deported to Mandal in 1907, where he wrote his famous book, The Story of My Deportation. And therefore, the Congress wanted him to be a president in Surat 1907, but which is refused by the moderates, and that became the reason of a split at a Surat in 1907. So B is the answer. Anushilan Samiti, the most famous and the biggest revolutionary group in India, formed in Bengal. Correct, what is correct is been asked. So Samiti is founded by Raj Bihari Bose and Sachindranath Sanya, so not true. P. Mitra, Pramod Mitra at Dhaka has formed the Anushilan Samiti, India's most famous revolutionary organization. They had 6 secret organizations separately. Samiti is influenced by the Bankim Chandra Chatterjee's Anandamat, very much true. Anandamat inspired the Bengali revolutionary and other persons, Vivekananda, who also inspired. The Samiti published the booklet Bhavani Mandira, very much correct. Pindharis earlier used to worship the goddess Bhavani before their missions. So on that lines, even they had a Bhavani Mandira. So 2 and 3 is correct. B. With reference to the governance of India during the British rule, consider the following statement as incorrect. The Government of India Act 1858 provided for the advisory functions of the Secretary of State. So not true, that's advisory. He is the one who is powerful. So there are two people now, Secretary of State to India in Britain and Governor General in India. Dual will rule on India. So there is a famous Morley Minto, Mounting Chelmsford, such a dual rule used to be there in India. So he has an advisory council who advise to them, but he is not advisory. He can take decisions. Indian Council Act of 1909 provided for right to issue an ordinance to the Viceroy for the first time. So that's not true. As early as the 1861 Indian Council Act, first Indian Council Act, the right to issue the ordinance was given to the Viceroy. Formation of a cabinet government in India was provided for the first time in the Government of India Act 1858. 1858 was hurriedly passed because of the revolt of 57, and major things are done in the 1861 Indian Council Act. So again 1861. So actually none of them is true. D. Which of the following factors were responsible for emergence of a militant nationalism in the India during the early 20th century? So that is 1900 to 1950 type one. So see the correct growth of Japan's industrial power. So that is correct. It has inspired the Indians. Even the Russian Revolution inspired. Even the defeat of Italy at the hands of Ethiopia. It inspired a lot of international events inspired in this period. Denial of education to the masses, though it is one of the cause, but not a major one. Unemployment, poverty, these are the major issues in this time, not being uneducated. Passage of Calcutta Cooperation Act and the Indian Universities Act, it is true. The governmentalization of universities tried by Lord Curzon has created anger. Deportation of Nathu brothers. These Nathu brothers are the one who tried of a treason and been deported without any trial given to them outside the country. Occurrence of American Civil War. It was known event, but not a major event for India, and that not made a big impact. So 1, 3, and 4 B. An Indian ruler statements not key feature of subsidiary alliance has been asked. The Indian ruler entering subsidiary alliance with the British had to dissolve his own armed forces. Correct. He has to dissolve his own and take the British armed forces, and that made him insecure, and British become dominant soon. And so they are maintaining the army at the cost of an Indian ruler. He is paying for it, but command is controlled by the British. The Indian rulers thus lost all power with respect of foreign affairs and the military. Correct. In foreign affairs, lost in return. The Indian state could also not enter into any political connection with another Indian state without British approval. So another political connection and matrimonial connection, even they can meet each other. Another can go to foreign country without permission of a British. And this way they become like a slaves in the hands of British indirectly. D. All are true. Annie Besant was arrested, and then who renounced the knighthood. So famous G. Subramaniam Iyer, a nationalist leader from Madras. Tagore famously gave away at the time of knighthood, at the time of Jallianwala Bagh, and same time even Gandhi gave up his Kaisar-e-Hind given to him by British when he supported recruitment in First World War. Home Rule League movement, which of the following statement is correct? So Muhammad Ali Jinnah opposed the movement and left Congress. So not true. He left the Congress later for different reasons. He was very much a part of a Home Rule movement in Bombay as a part of a Besant's Home Rule League. Communal riots were not witnessed during the movement. So that is also not correct. They are going on some places. It emphasized on educated elites, thereby keeping the masses away from the movement. Indeed, this time the masses were targeted first time in the Indian movement. It had to create organizational links between town and rural areas. So that has been correct. D. Consider the following statement about August offer. So which of the statements are correct? August offer is in 1940. First 1939 they got the October offer in the wartime, and then followed by the August offer in 1940. It proposed complete freedom as the objective for India. No, they are again gone for the same idea, dominion status. So they are continuously giving same offer, dominion status, that is within empire, the self-ruler. But no full freedom they are talking about. That they finally talked only in cabinet mission. Proposed to expand the Viceroy's council to include a certain number of Indian political representatives as a token towards the Indian self-government. So that is correct. They want to expand and show that Indians are being taken into consideration while war will be going on. So showing it's like going to be a partnership government. Congress termed the offer as a progressive. No, it's a Muslim League who termed the offer as a progressive, but not pleased that the British did not consult Indian political groups with regard to the proposed expansion of Viceroys. This is a reaction of a league and not Congress. Congress outrightly rejected the August offer. So only second statement is correct. Only one A. So about the Orientalist Anglicist controversy that happened in the times of Lord William Bentinck in 1835. The Orientalist, there is a committee appointed. The committee As a 10 British people, 5 were Anglicist and 5 were Orientalist. Perfect tie. And finally, the casting vote is put by one of the Anglicist, Lord Macaulay, and turn the decision towards the Anglicist ideas. So Orientalist was led by H.H. Wilson and H.T. Princep brothers, advocated in the favor of Sanskrit, Arabic and Persian as a medium of education. Correct. Orientalists wanted Indian languages as a medium. The English is led by Charles Trevelyan. Elphinstone advocated the imparting of Western education through the medium of English. That is correct. And this is the way both 1 and 2 are correct. That was the main clash. But finally, we are taking today's session in English because of the decision taken in 1835, the Macaulay's minutes of education, that English will be the medium of instruction and not the Sanskrit, Arabic and Persian. So see the interesting effect of the history on all of us. What is the following chronological order? So correct code in there. So Morley Minto reforms, if you know, 1909 they have been there. Bardoli we already seen, 1928 Gujarat. Champaranya as soon as the Gandhi returned from India, 1917. Gadar party was formed in 1913 in the San Francisco, US mainly. And Kamagata Maru happened in the same year, next year, 1914, around. So 52134 D. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, the famous Periyar Swami. So which of the statements are correct? He led a self-respect movement, very famous self-respect movement run, in which he opposed the Aryan dominance over the South Dravid and wanted to push it back, the dominance of Aryans on southern people. He took active part in Bardoli, not true. He not was part of Bardoli. He participated in Vaikom Satyagraha in the Kerala to get entry to the untouchables in the temple. He attacked the laws of Manu, which is called the basis of the entire Hindu social fabric or caste. So it is correct. So first is correct, third is correct, and UNESCO recognized and praised adored him as a title of a Socrates of North Asia. This is one of the popular misunderstanding or like a miscommunication done. That no such type of thing has been declared by the UNESCO for him. It is not correct. So only 2 statements are correct. B. So correct regarding the revolutionary activities in Punjab during the early 20th century, 1900 to 1950. So which are the correct answers that have been asked? So increasing land revenue was among the reasons behind the rise of revolutionary activities in Punjab. So there is an acute shortage of land and high demand by the British has created unrest in the Punjab. And for 1799, Punjab Land Selling Act is already passed by the British, but too late. Already unrest was high. Anjumane Mohibban Watan, Anjumane Watan, was an extremist group established in Lahore. Correct. These are the revolutionary type of people in Lahore. Even Bharat Mata Society is also established in Lahore on the same lines. The deposition of Lajpat Rai and one of the farmer leaders, Uncle Bhagat Singh, Ajit Singh, affected the pace of revolutionary activities. So that is also correct. But early departure created trouble. And so all the 3, 1, 2, and 3 are correct. D. Raspberry was associated with which of the following organizations or events? So he was not part of Abhinav Bharat. It is formed by the Vinayak Damodar Savarkar in the Maharashtra. Raspberry was a famous Bengali revolutionary. He is the one who participated in Gadar and later run away to the Tokyo. And then in 1919 he formed the India Independence League in the Tokyo. He also later formed the Indian Club of Tokyo. And then he is in Bengal connected to the Jugantar party. After Anushilana Samiti, the most effective party in the Bengal revolutionary was the Jugantar party. So with that, Raj Bihari Bose is associated in early phase. So 2, 3, 4, and 5. C. The last question now. Regarding the resolution of 1882, which of the following is correct? So it focused on decentralization of power and finances between the province and the local bodies. So it has been correct. It's Ripon who is called as the father of a local self-governments in India. He regenerated the local self-government, which is earlier cancelled by the British. And they have been improving day by day even today. It suggested a non-official majority in the local bodies. Correct. So non-official majority means Indian should be given a majority in the hand and British should be less into the bodies. He suggested a high degree of official control of this local bodies. Opposite, he wanted to have the autonomy at the local bodies level. So it is not correct. The improvement in local administration aimed by it were reduced due to the high bureaucratic control. So that is not true. Indeed, he has given autonomy. One of the reasons why historians say that they wanted to get rid of the expenses at local level, especially education expenses, and so want to put in the hand of a local self bodies, put taxes and run the schools and other things. Maybe that is also the reason why they gone for complete autonomy to be given to the local self government bodies. But still, it's a good step for India, and one type of grassroots democracy began in the India from 1882, we can say. So hope you have been benefited from this discussion of a Nishchay test series, and keep on. We are going to keep discuss more and more of them. Thank you.